Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to talk about getting all the coaches getting ready for competition. I am just like sort of the moderator, maybe, I guess. Mahaila's going to take the floor, and I'm just going to sit back and help her, with anything. If you guys have questions, you can put them in the chat. I'll be monitoring for that. Everybody, I think, is muted by default. You can feel free to unmute and ask questions if you have it. If you're in the car, I think, and you're dialing in, I think it's *6 to unmute, I think. And then I'm going to go ahead and put a couple links in the chat for these websites that we're looking at. So Mahaila, you can go ahead and take it away.
Good evening, everyone. I was thinking to do a presentation, but honestly, you guys have so much information right now that I think the last thing that you need it's another list of things to do or places to see. So there's going to be a couple of sites that I want to highlight for you guys. I think the best idea is to have one of the parents or a group of students or whoever you think is fit to read those information. So first one is the First in Michigan, and it's going over to all the events and the dates and where they are. I'm pretty sure everybody did the first round of registration. We're going to go over at the end of this session to see which event each team chose for this first round. And we're going to talk about strategies for the second round, if you want to do it, and how it's recommended to do two competitions. Then the second website, it's the First Inspires, but when you go to the First Inspires to the FTC page, you go to events, and then in the site with the events, you will have one label that it's called Preparing for Competition. There's a lot of information in that label, so it points you back to the game 1 or 2, game manual part 1 and 2. There's rules for each competition, criteria, advancement criteria. So all of that, it's going to be in the game manual. So by this time, everybody should be kind of familiar with the game manual. I'm sure that you had the kids and the parents read it. It's a lot of information, even if you have everybody read a little bit, so they bring something to the table. It's a good idea. Then there's a blog post that they have, how to prepare for an event, where it goes over what you can do a couple of weeks prior to the competition, the list of things that you want to bring to the competition. This is a good thing. That list is a good thing to print, so you have it in front of your face before the competition. I would suggest to have 2 people double checking everything that you have packed for the competition, because if you have only one person that has the list, goes through the motion, they might oversee something. So it's better to have a double check. Just make sure that you have everything, because if a competition is far away and you don't have something that's vital for your robot, then somebody needs to go back and pick it up. Practice. Excuse me, I can't hear. Did
somebody have a question there? I think it might have been Amber, maybe.
Okay.
No.
Okay. In terms of preparing, if you have any questions, by the way, put them in chat and we're going to address them at the end, or if it's something pressing, unmute yourself and ask. In terms of preparing for the competition, as you all know, the competition has 2 parts. Is the judging session, when your team goes in front of the judges. This is the first part of the day. Typically the judging session, it's just before the opening ceremony. So you get there, you have a slot where you're going to go in and see the judges. It's about 10 minutes. The kids have about 5 minutes to speak freely. So go through their scenario, whatever they have a script or something, and then the judges will have 10 minutes, 5 minutes for them to ask questions, and they'll ask all kinds of questions, and the students are supposed to answer. There's only one adult allowed in a room, and you have to make the choice who's going to be that. Typically, is the coach, main coach, or the co-coach, or another parent if the coaches are not available. But there's only one adult, and the adult stays in one side. There's absolutely no filming. Some of the judges are more lenient. Some of them will tell you flat out they don't want you to film. You cannot interfere. If you've been to any first competition, they're frowning upon coaches interfering in the interview. So you have to be quiet. As much as you want to say something, you have to stay there and just observe. Typically, the kids do really well in front of the judges. They have that about a minute or two when everybody's very nervous, and that, deer in a headlight face. And then after that, they start talking about, and they kind of loosen up, and they joke sometimes, and they answer questions, and it's all good. So don't worry about that. Just practice your judge's presentation. Make sure to time it every single time when you practice. Make sure to time it, because some judges will cut you off at 5 minutes. They'll say, okay, 5 minutes is up, and they'll cut you off. Some judges are going to be more lenient and will let you go over. But if you're in the 5 minutes realm, it's going to be fine. Make sure that every single child in a team has something to say. Judges will look for teams that are well-rounded, teams that have everybody in the team included in a conversation. We would always have a script, and each child would take one part. And you would do in such a way that the child that's talking about a topic, so for example, if they're talking about the chassis, they should be a child that worked on the chassis, because they're more knowledgeable than anybody else in a team. It's fine when the judges are asking one particular child, so they point to a child and ask a question pertaining, let's say, for programming, and they're asking, so how did you program this autonomous? And the child doesn't know how it's been done. It's okay for them to say, I didn't work on that, but this is X, Y, and Z child in the team that worked on that, and he can talk more about that. So make sure to tell the kids not to make up things. If they don't know something, they can say very, very well they don't know, and point to somebody in the team that might have an idea how to respond to that question. So after the judge's presentation, you go back to your pit and you prepare for the competition. You get a sheet of paper with your team's matches. You will see who are your alliance partners. You'll see approximately what time you're competing. Those are very relative times. If your team plays the match at the beginning, yes, they will play at that time that it's slotted for them on the page. But as you go towards the end of the day, it's more, it might be more backed up. Sometimes it's an hour or two behind. So make sure that all the kids are kind of on the alert and know, which teams are playing before them. So they make sure that you have the rest of the team in the bleachers, make sure that the drive team it's ready, make sure that the robot is charged, everything is going right. And in terms of pit design and all of that fun stuff that attracts traffic at your pit, I think I'm going to make myself available, not this week, but the incoming week, the week of October 20th. I think October 21st is a Saturday, that week before the October 21st. I'll be in the shop every day, Monday, Tuesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I think I'm covering all the teams between Tuesday and Friday, from probably 6 o'clock to 7:30. So if you have any questions about pit design, what do you want to do? If you have any issues, I'll be there to help you. You want a pit that would attract people. You want traffic. You want other teams to come in and look at your stuff. You want the judges to see there's traffic at your pit. You want the judges come at your pit. So it's a matter of bribing the kids with giveaways, and a lot of the things are the buttons and the stickers that every child wants to have. Candy are very successful. In the past, we had bowls of candies. Problem with the bowls of candies, our kids, our team kids would be at the pit all the times eating our candy. So by the end of the day, you'd have a bunch of kids high on sugar. So what we did, we changed that, which was really, really successful. Last year, we did a candy jar. It was one of those teddy bears jars, the animal cracker jars, and we put a bunch of candy inside. We sealed it. One single person knew the number of the candy, and we were playing a guessing game with all the teams in a competition, and we would invite them to guess how many candy and put a piece of paper with how many candy they think they're in a jar, and something that they liked about our pit or our team. And we had a lot of teams coming and checking it out. And of course, at the end, we gave away the jar of candy to the team that won, that guessed it closely. But other teams have all kinds of, they have interactive games, they had videos going on, they have board games. I know that Golden Gears in the past had that Wheel of Fortune that would take you to the competitions. Anything fun that would bring people to your pit is great. Food, in terms of food, it's going to be a whole day. You have to tell your parents that this is not your typical, soccer meet when you go and stay for 4 hours and you go home and there's just a snack. It's a whole day event. You get there at 7 o'clock in the morning or 7:30, and it goes until 7 at night. So you'll have to have parents who you have to do either a sign up to bring food, or you're going to order food as a team. This is your decision to make, but be prepared to make sure that kids are fed during the competition. So make sure that you have a good breakfast, a good lunch for them to have. You'll have a table where you can put your stuff. Again, the judges are walking everywhere around this. They're not going to be on the judges' rooms. They're going to be all over the venue. So make sure that you tell the kids to keep their place clean, not food everywhere, behave nicely. Just behave like there's judges everywhere. And that's good for the parents too, because sometimes you have parents that are, either noisy or they're in areas they're not supposed to be. Some of the areas are going to be cornered off. You can go because you don't have safety glasses. You have to have safety glasses all the times in the pit. There's going to be volunteers who are going to, bring attention to the fact that you got in with no safety glasses. If you do it repeatedly, they might take you out. You don't want to draw attention in that kind of negative way to you. So make sure that you tell everybody to have safety glasses at the pit all the times, parents and children alike. Speaking of parents in a pit, try not to have parents in a pit. This is where only students and the coaches should be. The last thing you want to have is a bunch of parents around the robot try to fix the robot. It doesn't look good. So if you have one of the mentors that are the ones who helped with the programming or with the robot, that's fine. But if you have a group of 10 parents and 10 grandparents sitting there for an hour or two, it's not good. So yeah, parents can definitely come and help or take pictures and ask the kids questions or, talk to their kids, but make sure not for them not to be there all the times. It's not a good look. Parents and the other team members that are not in a drive team should be in the bleachers and cheering for your team when your team plays. So that's another thing that's important. If you're big in team spirit, do pom-poms or things that are fun, just to draw attention to your, team spirit. And again, cheer for your alliance partner, cheer for other teams if it's possible. It's all based on cooperation. It's amazing. So be prepared for that. Let me think what else. If you choose to go to further competition, I'm not sure. We're going to talk at the end to see which venue did you choose. But if you choose to go further away, like an hour and a half, you have to tell your parents to leave home early. You don't want to be late. You don't want to miss the judges session. The judges session goes exactly to the minute. There's no delays in that. There's only chunks of time, and they see the team, and then they have a couple of minutes break between your team and the next one. So they will not accommodate for that. When you check in for the competition, it's not necessary, but we recommend for you to go and check in the robot on Friday. So the night before. It's so much easier because it elevates a lot of issues. You're sure that the robot checked in. You don't have to stay in line in the morning. You just go and prepare one more time for the judges competition. You're done. Because Friday you can go and check the robot, set up your pit, put all the goodies and everything at the table, and go and come back the next day. You don't have to leave the robot there. The robot passes the inspection, and you can take it home or at the shop and then bring it back the next day. If it's not possible, you can do it the day of, but it's a little bit more stressful. Just in case you're going to a venue 1 hour and a half away, it's hard to do it on a Friday night. But if you're closer, it's highly, highly recommended to do it a night before. Make sure that you give jobs to every parent in your team. You can have parents that are coordinating the food, parents that are making sure the team is wrangled up for the matches, make sure that the students are in best behavior. There's all kinds of jobs that you can give to the parents. Before the competition, make sure to have a check written for, I believe this year is still $100. So each venue charges each team $100 to participate in the competition. Unfortunately, they don't take credit cards or P cards or anything else, except, and I don't even think they take cash. I think it's only checks. So make sure that somebody cuts a check for the amount of money that is required.
Hyla,
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. On the website for FTC, it says the qualifier is $100 and that they are accepting cash or check.
Oh, okay. And now it's cash. Okay. So either cash or check, whatever it's easier, and make sure that, you reimburse somehow from the team's funds. It's easy with a check because then you can do a refund request with the district, and they will do it. But if you do that, you have to have a W-9 in place, which is another headache, but it's not bad. Once you fill that out, it's there to stay forever. So if you are one of the parents that are actively volunteering in school, you might need that at one point in your volunteer life. State championship is $200. If you qualify for state's budget for that amount of money too. I know that teams are spending now on parts and everything. Make sure to leave some money for extra spending for competitions and championship. I don't know if you decide to buy the lunches with the money, the team money. This is okay if there's money left, and if you want to spend at the end of the season on a celebratory meal dinner with the students, that's fine, as long as there's no alcohol involved. You can do, and it should be within like common sense. We had in the past a team that threw a party at a venue like more than $500. That was years ago, and it was kind of not necessary. Keep in mind that whatever funds your team has, it's going to roll over for next year. So like you came in and you had a pretty good chunk of money, on top of those 2,000 or whatever amount of money you got from the registration, it's nice to leave it for next year for the team, because things are changing. you'll need new parts. And as you know, everything is very, very expensive. Anything else that I didn't cover? First round. I mean, this is the first round when you chose. So for the competition, you'll play your team. You will play about 5 qualifying matches, and you're going to be ranked according to the score, the amount of points that you score. If you win or lose, your alliance wins or lose or is even, and based on that ranking, there's going to be, the first 4 teams are going to be the alliance captains when you go to the finals, to the elimination round, and they will go and pick out the team. So have somebody in your team, either a student or a group of students or a parent, learn about how the day progresses, how the robot game is. It's pretty complicated to explain, but once you see it and once you learn a little bit, you kind of understand it. They made it in the past, it was based on if you win or lose. Now it's based on points and ranking points, and it depends on what your robot can do. So it's good to have somebody who understands the game, because they can be good at strategizing what would be a good alliance partner, what team would partner really well with you, because then when you get towards the end and you know that, for example, your team is well situated within the number of teams, you can go in and send your kids to talk to the teams that would pair really well with your team. So in the event that one of those teams gets a higher ranking or you get a higher ranking, you can go and pick up that team at the end to be your partner. So the goal is to make a strong alliance so you can win the elimination rounds. After the matches, it's going to be a little bit of a break, and then there's going to be awards. Make sure the team stays there for the awards, even if you didn't do really well in the robot game, because there's some teams that don't do good in the robot game, but they get awards and they qualify for states because they did something great during the season. They spoke really well in front of the judges. They impressed the judges. The judges came back and asked them questions. They had a great season in terms of outreach or reaching out to the engineering community. So we had teams in the past that did not perform well in the robot game, but they won awards and they qualify for states after that. So just make sure everybody stays for the awards. The advancement criteria, somewhere on the first, not in first in Michigan, in first in FTC, it's going to be a label, a tab that is going to say advancement criteria. If you go back to the first in Michigan, no, the first FTC, go to events again, Bryn. Okay. And then advancement criteria. It shows you the way that is structured. But then if you go, can you go down a little bit? The blue link at the end, game manual part, yeah. So somewhere towards the end of the game manual part 1, I think. I think it's the part 1, yes.
Sorry, there's 2 part 1s. One is traditional events.
Traditional. We're not doing remote events. Yeah, so go to the table of contents. Let me see. Go. Again, here you have a competition day outline, schedule, team check-in. What do you expect? Because I'm honestly, I'm not sure the specifications for this year's challenge. So you'll have, when you go and checking your team in a robot, there's certain specification that you have to follow. The whole robot fitting in a 18 by 18 by 18 cube, but there's other things that are pertaining to this year's challenge. So you have to make sure to read those things. And then when you go for at page, I think it's page 22. Let's go to page 22. I think is that one. There's so much information. So this is a good part of the booklet that you can read. Scouting. Can you go lower? Let me see. More. Okay, so this is telling you about the ranking and the scores. How are they gonna calculate your place in the rankings? Go lower. Yeah. Is this the end?
There's 75
Oh,
pages.
okay. So advancement criteria. No, not this one. Awards. Go a little bit more. Okay, so this is, okay, hold on for this page for a little bit. Order of advancement. So if you go, when you got the document from First in Michigan with all the schedule for the competitions and where they are and the times and everything, somewhere on the left, no, on the right-hand side on a page, the last column, it's going to tell you where the teams qualifying from that competition are going to go to which state competition, because there's 2 state competitions. There's one at Macomb Community College in Macomb. It's on east side, and then one in Grand Rapids. If your competition qualifies for a state in Grand Rapids, you might have to allot some money for traveling for the team, so you'll have to stay overnight there. If you're in Macomb, you don't have to go travel. You can go back home the night and then come back the following day, because the state competition is 2 days. So the way that you advance, the teams advance to the state competition, it's on this page, and it tells you exactly who is going to go to compete in the state competition from each competition. Each competition would let about between 5 and 6 or 8 teams to go to the state competition. Some of the qualifying competition have a higher chance for you to qualify for state. Some of them have very, very little chances. Like the one in Kettering, I think it's only 17% chances to go to competition. Some of them, as Freeland or Howell, have anywhere between 24 and 25% of the teams in a competition qualifying for states. So the way that it goes, and I haven't seen this optional. I haven't been to a competition where you had one optional team that would qualify. But the first one that qualifies for states is the Inspire Award winner. It's kind of the highest award that you can get in FTC. The second one would be the Winning Alliance captain. Then Inspired Award second place, then Winning Alliance first team selected, and it goes on until you filled out those spaces that are going to compete in states. As you go on and the season progresses, you go to the second competition. A lot of the teams that are already competing in the second competition qualified already for states. So, for example, let's take Golden Gears. They went to the competition in Howell, and they qualified for states. And then they decided to go downtown Detroit for the second competition, and they win another award there. Well, they already qualify for states, so they are not called to go for states, so they're kind of step over. So if, for example, they won the Inspire Award, it's going to go down the list, and then you get to the end of the competitions. The later ones, you would get teams that win the Control Award or Motivate Award, and they will go to the competition. Even if Motivate Award is the number 15th on this list, you can qualify for states. So, and you look at those awards, each award on the game manual would have criteria. What are they looking in? For example, Motivate Award, it's given to a team that is doing a lot of outreach in the community. It's very energetic. Connect Award is given to a team that is connected to the engineering community. Either they go in front of the sponsors and they talk, or they connect to the engineers in the area where they have mentors who are engineers. They're reaching out to companies. And Think Award, if they came up with a practical solution to a problem that they had, and it's innovative, it's something new that they didn't see. So you kind of, by this point, you kind of know your strength of your team is. You can challenge that strength and connect it to one of the awards and see if your team can go for those awards. Obviously, the biggest one, it's Inspire. It's the overall, the best rounded team. So you have to have a good robot. You have to have a great team that cooperates. You have to have kids that support each other. You have to have a team that connected to the engineering community, a team that did some outreach. Kids are enthusiastic about the outreach that they did, and they can talk about that with the judges. But again, at this point, you guys know your kids, you know what their high points are. So try to use them in your advantage and make them shine. That's all it matters. That's about it. I don't know if there's any questions.
No questions. Nicely covered, Mihaela. This is Garen, by the way. But one thing to make sure, you guys, the coaches who have not set up an FTC competition, one of the most important pieces that will actually prevent you from competing is make sure the consent forms are signed. And you might confuse yourself with thinking that you've got it all figured out, since we've got the two that we did online, first Inspires and First in Michigan. I think the events have consent forms that are required. So this always used to catch us off guard, because there'd always be one student or one parent that would forget to put it in, and that student couldn't compete if it wasn't in place by the time the competition started. And there's no you can't be on site and all that kind of stuff. So it's important to make sure that the venue that's going to send you some information when they send out the roster and all that kind of stuff, as coaches, we should be 100% on the ball with that, to make sure all the parents sign consent forms for their kids. I don't know if it's changed. Last time I was at an FTC was when Adriana was in FTC, she's a senior now, so it was a few minutes ago, if you will. But it did cause a lot of stress, because we'd always be chasing one parent.
Well, that's a nice segue into the thing that I wanted to talk about.
Just a second, Brian, just a second. So let's not move away from that. So as you get closer to the competition day, you'll get emails from the director of the event. Make sure to read those emails, because what happened is, in the last couple of years, they streamlined that process, and they'll send you a list of your team and who from the team completed all the forms. And it will say your roster is incomplete, and you'll have to go down and figure out what was not filled out by whom, and you have to choose those people. So there's two types of consent form release forms, one with First and one with First in Michigan. You have to make sure to have your roster printed with your safety information, with all the parents and phone numbers and everything. But that is going to be in the email that's coming from the director of the event. So make sure to pay attention as you get closer to the event. If you don't get anything, make sure to check your spam folder. There's going to be a lot of information talking about the venue, when it opens, when the judging session is,
parking, that's all important stuff that comes out.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's three people, right, Mihaela? I mean, there's basically the First in Michigan, First in general, and then there's the event itself, and you got to follow the rules.
No, the event is not going to ask you anything. It's just the First in Michigan and First. There's two forms and consents.
Oh, so they don't make you sign something for that school district for visitors or anything like that?
No.
Okay, I think we had to do that in one of the stuff back in the day, but maybe it's changed.
Yeah, so that's all, and then the check and make sure to have the roster printed, because they'll ask you for that. And that's one of the good things, if you go on Friday, and if something, for example, it's not right, you have until Saturday morning to make it right.
So that's what I wanted to point out, is that new this year, they're making you turn in your team rosters by email the Monday before your competition date. It is right here on this First Michigan website. So the way that they did it before is not the way they're doing it now. And you have to print it off in a PDF format from the firstinspires.org. And here's the kicker, is that if you don't have everything filled out, all the consents, if you don't have 2 coaches to every team, it won't print. So you won't be able to turn it in the Monday before your competition date. They're trying to get ahead of it so that they're getting all the things worked out before the day of or the night before. So I can tell you that on the first website, many of the teams, when they were started, they had, coach number 1 listed, and then for coach number 2, it was either myself or Amanda listed. And we have removed ourselves out of there after pinging those coach number 2s several times to accept the invite to be coach number 2. And I'm going to tell you, about half of the teams in our district are missing coach number 2. So from this meeting, the one thing we need everybody to do is go log in to the first dashboard and see if you have a coach number 2 listed. And if you don't, you need to rectify that. Otherwise, you are going to run into trouble when you have to turn that in the Monday before your meeting. So if you are coach number 1 and you log in, there will be a big red bubble telling you that there's something wrong, and you will be able to see whether it is the consent and release form or if it is a missing coach. The co-coaches who have not answered the email that came from First of Michigan or First Inspires, they're going to need to go into their email and dig around and look for it. I can tell you, every co-coach has gotten probably at least 8 to 10 emails from me asking them to accept the invite. So if they cannot locate it, then coach number 1, you are going to have to re-invite them. But their information is there and you'll be able to see it, and you just send them another invite for them to answer. So another thing that we got feedback is that when people registered their children for robotics back in May, they used one email address, and that is the email address that we're using to add coach number 2. And some people in this last 6 months or however long it's been has started using another email address and didn't realize it was going to some other account. So I'm telling you now, at the end of this meeting, you're going to want to log in and check that, because you need that for turning in the Monday before your event week.
That's something new this year, and actually it sounds pressing, but it takes so much pressure out of the team, because that week before the competition, it's crazy. And if you have all the paperwork almost a week before and it's all done, that's one less thing to worry about when the competition comes. So that's good. Any other questions? Oh, that's easy.
Do you know when or where we'll find out which event we got placed in?
You should know by now. Did you received that document from First in Michigan, right? With the home placement? Doug?
Yep, I saw that.
Yeah.
And I saw and I got the Google form link.
Yep.
Where you listed how many, I think there were 5 choices of order of preference. And I filled that out, but I haven't got, I got a notice that I filled it out, but I haven't gotten anything after that.
So let me ask you this. keep your home assignment, or did you ask to be changed?
We changed but we listed our home assignment as the second choice. So
Okay.
like for the 11th, we were assigned Rochester, and we listed North Branch, Rochester, and Ann Arbor.
Yeah. So it will take a little bit of time. They'll send you an email telling you, but from what I remember, it was more than a week. So
Oh, okay.
I think they're behind because
Yeah.
registration is supposed to open on Friday for the 4th and 5th grade level. And they said that they are so backed up from the FTC that they're pushing registration to next week. So my thoughts are that they're running really, really far behind.
Just to give you an idea, I was trying to rectify the way that our teams are in their documents, which is completely wrong. They still use the wrong schools, the old schools. 2 of our teams are put in West Bloomfield instead of Bloomfield Hills. I sent numerous emails for the last 3 weeks. I got no response, nothing, not even that. Okay, we acknowledge it and we'll get to it. So I think there's so much going on that you have to give them a little bit of grace. I would say if it's past 2 weeks from when you did the choice, you should send an email to Tammy at First in Michigan.
Okay.
Just to see what the status is. But typically you get the first choice if it's not a very popular event. And then you will get the second choice for the second competition if, when it comes the registration for the second round.
Oh, okay.
Did anybody keep
Thanks.
their assignment you're welcome, for Rochester? Did any team is going to Rochester competition?
Omega Warriors are.
Okay. Well, it's great to have a couple of teams from the same district going to one competition because you can cheer on each other and support each other. But when you have 8 out of 9 teams going at one competition, you kind of, I'm not going to say sabotage, but you're decreasing the chances for our teams to go further. So that's why we want to spread a little bit. So I know that there's a few teams that chose to go at further away events. And typically further away are you from the tri-county area. The competition is not as hard as around here. The ones around here are pretty tough. The Rochester one, it's hit or miss. Troy one, it's pretty rough. A lot of good teams, and so you never know. Any other questions? And again, I'm going to make myself available following week to talk about if your team has questions about team spirit and pit design and all of that. If you have any questions about engineering portfolio, I know that's coming pretty soon too, for you guys to put it together. I think there's a few examples floating in the shop from the previous couple of years that you can check out. It's nice that you don't have to do an engineering notebook. That was a pain because sometimes you had 300 pages of stuff to file. Now you kind of put that all in 15 pages and present it to the judges. So it's a matter of finding the best parts of your team and putting it in the engineering portfolio. Anything else? Okay.
No, nicely covered. You covered every possible base. Very good.
What do you want?
Can I add something?
Yeah, okay, here's former Robo Rangers coach, Mr. Cobb, go ahead.
I didn't listen to everything, but I know that dotting the i's and crossing the t's are really important. When we were doing FTC, we didn't necessarily have that level of support. So big kudos to not just my wife, but to Bren and Amanda as well. I think they've done a great job. But aside from all of that, I think it's really important to remember that we have to go out there and have fun, because that's really what it's all about. So it sounds like you guys got a lot out of this tonight, and I hope that moving forward, we can keep this culture going. So thank you to everyone for participating. It's not just important to me, but it's important to the district and my wife and Bren and Amanda as well. So thank you all so much.
Oh,
That
thank you.
was really nice. Thank you. We're just doing it for the kids.
Yeah. And again, it's a little bit of selfish interest, because ultimately we want to keep the kids engaged so we can have a great high school team, robotics team in the future. So, and a great group of parenting support, because that's what we need the most. So thank you all for all the work that you're doing. It's highly appreciated, because it's not easy.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, well,
Thank you so much.
you're very welcome all. If you have any questions, you can reach out anytime, through Slack or email to us. Thank you.
Good stuff.
Thanks.
See you
Have a good
guys.
night.
Bye.
Thank you.